Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is my birthday. Let's celebrate. All right, all right. Happy birthday to me. And my guest's birthday was just yesterday. So happy birthday to Zenell. All
Thank
right.
you.
Here we are on Wisdom Wednesday podcast, August the 23rd, 2023, on my birthday. And I'm so honored to have my guest today. I'm so glad we were able to connect. But before that, you know the drill. Grab your coffee cup or your water or your juice and join in on the conversation. Today, as we've been talking about this entire month of August, are you championship material? What does that mean to be a winner? Are you ready to go into battle? Will the scars represent your winnings? So we're going to talk all about that. But before that, let me welcome officially Zenell, my friend. How are you this morning?
Thank you, Dr. Mary. I am doing well. A
Good.
year older and doing well.
Eyes are looking good.
Thank you.
Let me just share with the audience a little bit more about this phenomenal woman. Zenell Brown, ESQ, is a seasoned legal professional with a diverse background and passion for diversity, equality, and inclusion, DEI, with an expressive career trajectory, that spans from paralegal to court administrator. Zenell brings a wealth of experience and expertise to her role as a DEI and leadership training consultant. Having served as a court administrator prior to her recent retirement, happy retirement,
Thank you.
Zenell seamlessly combines her court leadership skills, crucial conversation abilities, dispute resolution expertise, and diversity knowledge to deliver impactful DEI and leadership trainings. She works as a consultant, valuable insight and strategies to courts, colleges, and nonprofit organizations seeking to develop and advance their diversity and inclusive initiative, which is so crucial today in our society. Zenell is highly regarded in the legal community and holds faculty positions at prestigious institutions such as the Institute of Art of Court Management, the Michigan Judicial Institute, and Michigan Women Lawyers Leadership Academy. In these roles, she focused in teaching strategic thinking and planning, leadership development, and fostering diversity and inclusion. I can go on and on. I will talk more about it, but this phenomenal woman, I want to say welcome because you're going to give us some wisdom today about, are you championship material? What are your thoughts about being a champ or being a winner? I mean, does it start with your mindset? Does it start with your skill set? I mean, you are a champion in your own right. So share how I declare you to be a champion and winner.
Okay. So, Dr. Mary, everything starts with your mindset, everything. And sometimes it's not even what's in your mind, it's what you can imagine.
Mm.
So if I don't have it right here planted as my foundational thought, can I imagine it? And how do I live into that imagination? So how can I trigger that? How can I start thinking about it? And when you start thinking about certain things, you start developing and ruminating, then you start taking actions and living into it. So it's definitely a mindset frame.
Mhm.
And when I think about mindset, I think about how do we feed our mind? We feed our mind through reading, we feed our mind through music. We feed our minds through conversations like the conversation you and I are having. Neither one of us are frowning, neither one of us are crying. So we're going to pour that energy back and forth. So if you're looking for champions, you figure out who the champions are. You try to hang around them as much as possible. That
Yeah,
would be the starting point.
right. And when I think of champions, I think I spoke on a podcast about Muhammad Ali, how he declared, "I am the greatest." But it wasn't just speaking words; it wasn't just thinking. He acted out his belief. and he improved his craft. I mean, he was in there practicing and doing all those fast moves. So it is whatever area in your life. Don't you have to really improve or hone in on your craft and know that you can be the best, because there's going to be opposition every time you try to
Oh,
move.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that you say this is my goal, you can expect that there's going to be just as much resistance.
Yes.
And it's like, are you really serious? Are your affirmations hollow? Are you just talking about what you want to do, but you're not acting on what you want to do? Every year, January 1st, everybody's like, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. February 1st, we found out who was talking about it and who was actually doing it. March 1st, we look at the results and we can tell. You don't even have to tell us anymore. We can tell who actually stuck to doing something. Mm-hmm. And the thing of it is that everybody has declared and affirmed, this is what I'm going to do on January 1, but different people then take different actions with that. I'm going to do it. And then you wake up the next day. Well, I'm going to do it. Well, not today, maybe tomorrow. So you got your procrastinators. Yes. The procrastinators are not going to get results. You got somebody who says, I'm going to do it, and wake up and feel like I don't feel like doing it. So what you going to do about your feelings? What you going to do about your feelings? It's like, okay, so I don't feel like doing it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yes. That's the perseverance. That's the getting in the ring to train to be the champion. Because you no matter how hard and challenging it is, you have to accept whatever you're going after is not going to magically appear. We're not living in a fairy tale. Things don't magically appear. So to be the champion is not like you're living in this magical imaginary world, but you're taking that imaginary world and you're then distilling it down. What does it really take in reality to live at that level? Yeah. And then you're creating your life around that. And in January, I do a lot of vision boarding with people.
I know.
And I'm like, let's make them beautiful. Let's make them where they're a work of arts. Let's put them on canvas. Let's hang them up. Mm-hmm. But don't let them collect dust. Go past that vision board. Look at it. And then ask yourself, and today, what will I do to make this not just a vision, but a reality? So when you're thinking about being a champion, you got to be willing to put the work in. And the work isn't easy.
Oh, no. Mentioning that in your arena of expertise in the legal world, how was it for you to press your way to be recognized? I know, because I read your book.
So I'll go back to law school.
Okay.
I remember law school being something that I affirmed at 5 years old. I'm going to be a lawyer. I don't have an idea what being a lawyer is, but I knew I didn't want to be a teacher. Too many kids to worry about. So I was like, I can be a lawyer. That sounds something like it's respectable. I like to read. I can think things through and solve problems. I'll do that. Mm-hmm. And so when it came time to go to law school, I was 28 when I went to law school. Okay. I went to college at 17. So there was that, vision sitting up there collecting dust. But one of the champions reminded me, they said, well, you said that you were going to law school. You're right now a paralegal, which is good, but are you really going to law school? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to law school. Let me dust that off and get started. So I was a non-traditional law student, single parent. So you have that as an added, I'm going to say, aspect. I'm not going to say it's a barrier or anything like that, but another aspect that you're bringing to it that you have to manage all of that to get through. And then feeling like in law school, I didn't see any African-American professors, especially female, until I was there 3 years. And so, you're wondering and you're doubting. I'm not getting A's as easily as I got them in undergrad and high school. I'm like, this is weird. I don't know if I'm going to, make it through.
Right.
And then on top of that, I got laid off. So then you got the financial pressures of how you going to pay for this? And there wasn't many financial resources out there for non-traditional students. Mm-hmm. So I got laid off, had to take a semester off.
Okay.
In walks a champion. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to charge your year of law school for you. I'm going to put it on my credit card for you. Yes. I'm like, okay. It makes no sense that you got this far, you can't complete. So here comes a champion showing up, investing in my dream. Mm-hmm. So I'm able to finish law school because that person believed in me. I'm able to go through and finish law school because of that one action. Now, the story goes even further that I end up marrying that person and have a wonderful life afterwards. But just for that person at that time, just being in a relationship and say, hey, I believe in you and you can do this. So again, the champions pour into champions. You see champion material, you're like, yeah, I want to make sure that you go ahead and you excel at what you're doing. So the whole piece about being a lawyer, getting to be a lawyer, that is the perseverance. Learning the lingo, the way to succeed in law school, how to build the networks, that is about perseverance and discipline. And then from graduating from law school, I had a nice cushy job. I was like, I'm making more than lawyers making right now. I don't know if I'm going to, pursue this or, I had this law degree. I'll figure out what comes.
Right.
And then, like I said, there's always going to be adversity.
Mm-hmm.
So then my job, the whole description got blew up and changed. I'm standing on my feet. I was like, I didn't go to school for this. My feet are tired. And I was like, I got to, use this law degree.
Yeah.
So I decided at that point in time, I'm going to go into practice. And I had learned by then the relationships, talk to people, help people. When you're helping people, you end up helping yourself and help in a way that you feel fulfilled, help in a way that you enjoy helping. And so I end up volunteering at different organizations, helping people fill out forms, whether it's for child support, landlord tenant issues, met great people there, end up then working at the front of the court as a caseworker. Within 90 days, they posted a position for an attorney, promoted there. And again, I'm like, let me help the people who are coming through this door. The system is hard to understand. Some of the people here are not welcoming. Let me help these people. Yeah. And then from there, getting to know the legal community in the child support arena, getting to know the judges, and then continuing the work there, just building upon that, just the networking and relationship building, and going to study the craft, going to take your dollars and invest in some continuing education, asking the court, you got some money so I can go here too? Right. And then just growing and learning. And then it's like, okay, this stuff is like so innate and it's so good. I remember going to a mediation class in 2000. Mm-hmm. And the instructor there, her name started with a Z. And I was like, that's interesting. Most people don't have names that start with Z, at least not at that time. Right. And so she and I talked afterwards, and I told her I really enjoyed the class and I really enjoyed learning. I want to learn more about it. And she and I have been friends ever since. She's called me in to do mediation training. She ended up training me as a coach. I'm a mediation trainer. So just building on those relationships and taking those first steps. Champions go in the ring knowing that there's an outcome that you can be victorious. There's not a guarantee, but there is a probability if you've done your work that you can be victorious. So stepping in rings that I didn't even know existed, or stepping up to challenges that, okay, I'm not for sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to consult my advisors. I'm going to train in this area, and I'm going to show up. So showing up to do the work, I think that's what makes a champion.
Wow, that is so powerful. And when you were speaking to Zenell, how there's not that many people that look like us in that arena. So that's also I don't want to call it opposition, but it could be a bright light in the room, if you will. Yes, but that didn't intimidate you or anything. You knew what you.
Oh, no, I was intimidated. Okay. But it's just like, but you have this faith. You have this radical faith. It's like, I'm going to try it anyhow. What do I have to lose? I'm already am where I am.
Right.
This could lead to something better. But if nothing else, I am where I am. So
right.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the chance, scared or not scared.
Yeah. Right. Do it scared. And what's the outcome could be good or could be fatal, but we learn from those instances as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I know you're also a published author. This book is #1. I went to your, when you spoke at the library, remember? Mm-hmm. Share a little bit about what prompted you to write that book as a, and the name of your book.
So the name of the book is Coffee and Conversations, Inclusion and Belonging. And I take 3 very distinct focuses on becoming, like you said, the attorney, but more so the everyday inclusionist that I am. And I take the focus of, hey, I felt like I was victimized. and survived it.
All right.
Hey, I've also seen others be in the circumstance where they've been victimized and need to speak to it. And number three, I always need to check myself because there's some things that I'm doing unintentionally, unwittingly, that is excluding somebody else. And so how do I make sure that all of those things are operating to help build more inclusion? So I talk about in the book, the first part, some interactions with someone who I used to work with, and just the feelings that I would walk away with feeling like, well, maybe I don't belong here. Maybe this place isn't for me. Let me try to get out of here. And realizing that, no, you do belong here. And guess what? You're going to be part of the change here. So stepping up to be in that level, not only do you belong at the table, you belong at the head of the table.
Come on now.
And you're going to actually help make things come forward because you've experienced it. So that's a whole different mind-blowing mindset there. And then to be humbled by, even though you're sitting at the head of the table, you know what it feels like not to be even allowed into the room. And so making circumstances different for those who are not in that room so they can come in, their viewpoints and their persons can come in at that table. So I end up writing that book right during the pandemic. It was written like in 90 days. It's very thin. Because I always envisioned if I was going to write something, it wouldn't be thick and hard to get through. I want it to be something you could put in your pocket and that you would actually read. So it wasn't about the glory of having your name in print. It was about being able to share something that you think that would help others.
Yes. And, you know, when you say that you don't belong there, I love that when you said we have to be the change we want to see, because we can talk about it, but you took action about it. So I know that's opened up a lot of doors. A lot of coffee was drank. I mean, did you do it on your job? I know you did it at the library. You had meetings. I mean, did you just do it any place and any time and invited people to come to be included? How did you?
I've done it virtually.
Okay.
I've been to 2 libraries. I've had something at the Skyline Club before it closed, which was a great book talk there. And then it's like almost one-on-one. I get people calling up, hey, you know, I thought about going to law school. It's like, let's grab coffee. Hey, I'm thinking about making a career change. Let's grab coffee. And then I'll reach out to my network and say, there's this award that's posted, and I think that you would be a good candidate. Can we get coffee and I can tell you about the award, and then I can write a nomination for you. There's this opportunity to publish an article, and I think that you got something to say. I got something to say. We have another friend who has something to say. Let's get together and write this article. So I enjoy the one-on-ones in small groups.
Yes, because it takes those intimate moments to make things happen. Sometimes a crowd is for the sensationalism, if you will. But right down to the heart of the matter, you know, that one-on-one or a small group, that's where the power lies. Would you agree with that sometimes?
I totally agree.
Yes. And, you know, when you said something about championship, it makes me think it starts with relationships. You were talking how you network and how you develop the network, how you got to know the judges, how you got to, and so we have to step out there in that arena, unfamiliar sometimes, and just get to know people. And that's how you develop those relationships. And that's how you can learn. I could be a champion for that other person. You don't have necessarily help, you know, how someone was a champion for you, and look how the benefit of that. So you would say that it starts with developing great relationships, not pseudo relationships. Hi, how you doing? You know,
no, how you doing? Or let's exchange business cards, or let me network and work the whole room. I was talking to one young lady, and she says, you know, I really get uptight, you know, when there's this whole room of people and you got this task that you're supposed to network and end up with 15 cards. I was like, no. I said, what you need to do, if you're not the person who's going to take over the whole room, and there are people who can and who can do it very well.
Yes.
I'm not that person. I said, what you do is that you find the small group and you engage that small group in a conversation. And you may be with that group for maybe the entire event, but the quality of the relationship you're going to make with those 3 individuals is way more powerful than you running around the room trying to collect cards.
True. Because
I said, you have a couple of reasons. that some instant conversation starters. What's the title of the event? So that's the reason that, what brought that person here? So how'd you hear about this event? What made you come? What are you hoping to get from the event? You got 3 questions right there.
Mm-hmm. Right there.
Right there.
Yes. And people want to know not so much what you know, but how much you care about them too.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask about their family. There used to be some type of, family, work, and get in their, not in their business, but get to know who that individual is more
Exactly.
what you do, where how much you make and all that crazy stuff. Yeah. You said something about being inclusive. How would you define being inclusive? I mean, we're all hanging out together, or I mean, what does that really mean in a business environment?
So in the business environment, I say the easiest thing to do is think about your workday.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you spending your time with? If they all look like you, have the same thoughts as you, in the same age group, same gender, you probably need to expand that bubble. Because what you're doing then is just looking at a different reflection of yourself. When you're being inclusive, you want to have more of like a mosaic look. You want to be able to hear from people who don't necessarily have the same title or occupation as you. You want to hear from people who are in a different generation than you, because everybody's playing this different role. And to play it all like a symphony, you got to hear all the different parts. So bring them all together. So how in my work life can I be more inclusive? There are people who get on the elevator and they go only to the floor that they work on. Mm-hmm. Have you stopped on those other floors just to look around? Ask somebody different for coffee. Ask for somebody different to go to lunch with you. One of the things that has been very effective to me is to think about co-authors, co-leaders, co-speakers. Who can I get who doesn't look like me to bring a different perspective to the work that we're doing?
I love that. Yes. And you learn so much too from different aspects, because we don't know it all, and you can learn from each other. And so we got to get out of that mindset. I'm only hanging around people who think like me, or, I think that I call that group think, and it's trouble there, So you have to expand your horizon, step out of that comfort zone and get to the other side. That's where the adventure starts, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what about, that's in professional life. What about in your personal life? Even, I guess it would be the same. How would you define?
Look around your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes in cities like ours, in Detroit or whatever, our neighborhoods are very segregated. Mm-hmm. Our school systems where our kids go are very segregated. So how do we make that more inclusive? How do I make sure that I'm not just experiencing life from one perspective, that I'm opening where I can have different relationships? So look at your place of worship, various ways that you can bring it in every day. Look at your virtual connections. Ooh. We're all on social media. Yes. We're all on social media. Do you reach out to others who are in different states, others who, have different life things going on and at different stages of their lives? I'm an empty nester. Am I reaching out to young mothers and at least tell them, girl, you can do it?
I know,
you can do it.
Because I did it. You can do it.
Right. You can do it. And so are you reaching out? Also, for women, are you reaching out to men where you can hear, what some of the issues are they may have when it comes to family dynamics? How they possibly are struggling with these roles that are so structured, and for them to have certain expectations? What are some of the ways that you can interact with that? So just expanding who we are. And inside our families, there's so much diversity. Yeah, it is. And inside our families, we have so much judgment too, because we have this picture of what we want our family to look like. So are we trying to live that picture, that perfect picture, or are we really trying to engage and see the relationships with the various people who may not look like we thought the picture should look? Yeah. And having that as an authentic relationship.
Wow, that's powerful. When you're saying our family, we just had a family picnic this past weekend, and one of my nieces, who's planning on getting married in October, she brought her fiance. We saw pictures of him on social media. Mm-hmm. He is Caucasian, nice young man, handsome young man. And so we just loved on him. And, and I said, I'm at the bridal shower, I met your mother. And he said, oh, yeah, yeah, and he felt comfortable because I think we made him feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to accept people for who they are, and I always tell my clients when I'm coaching them, stop trying to find yourself in others. You're
Right.
unique, you're by yourself. You're not going to find anything. They don't do things the way you do. So we do have to have that diversity because it adds value to our lives, whether we
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not. Yeah.
We're definitely in the time where we're becoming global.
Mhm.
So our families, like, okay, there were white families and black families and Asian families. No, they're mixing and they're marrying. There
Yeah.
were, heterosexuals, and that was supposed to be the norm. No, there's love coming in from various areas. Are
Yeah.
you willing to let people be who they need to be, to authentically be themselves and not try to exclude them?
That's right. And if we do that, I think we'll live a happier and a healthier life, because
Definitely.
I tell people it's a full-time job, making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I can pray for you and wish you well, but I don't need to be in your business. I'm trying to
Right,
take care of my
right.
own so that we can have that harmonious type living experience.
Mm-hmm.
It takes work, it takes a lot of effort.
It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of earned learning things that, that have been instilled in us. This is the way that it's supposed to be. This is the norm. This is the tradition. And
Mm.
it's like, well, if that norm is hurting somebody, leaving somebody out, can we put it on pause and rethink it, have a conversation about it, and figure out how to be more inclusive?
Yes, yes. What about you said inclusive, diversity, and it was one other. It was DEI.
For the equity piece,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
the equity piece, a lot of people get tripped up on that because they were like, well, I believe in equality. And so
Right.
that means if we have a pie, Dr. Mary, you get half, I get half. But the thing of it is, I don't like pie.
Oh, okay.
So giving me a half of a pie isn't good.
Right.
You should have that whole pie. You should tell me where to find the chocolate chip cookies. So diversity takes into account what people's needs are, what
Okay.
their interests are, to
Yeah.
make sure that they are having access to the same experience, the wonderful opportunities that are out there. What do
Yeah.
you need that may be different than what I need?
Mhm.
And oftentimes people feel like, okay, well, that means that I have to give something up.
Mm.
Well, if you're looking for it to be a zero-sum game, you probably can justify that. But if you believe there's an abundance of riches,
Mhm.
there's not something fixed, or if it even looks like it fixed, we can be innovative and creative to create more resources, then it's not going to cost you. You're
Mhm.
going to be happy. I'm going to be happy, and we all get to enjoy.
Awesome. Awesome. And so the equality part is where share a little more about that if you don't mind.
So the equality is that we get 50-50.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
get half, I get half. But
Okay.
the thing of it is that one thing, I may need more of it. I may not need that thing.
Mhm.
Somebody else may need more of it. So it
Right.
doesn't take into account the different circumstances of what people are bringing to the table. And it's based upon social identities,
Mhm.
race, age, ability, gender identities, all of that. Do
Yeah.
I need something different? If
Mhm.
I'm coming from as a first generation professional, do I need something different from somebody who has had generations who've been out there as professionals for years? Probably,
Yes. Mhm.
probably. I may need some mentorship. I
Right.
may need some additional financial resources. But if
Mhm.
we're about, hey, this should be the best profession ever, if we're thinking about doctors, if we're thinking about lawyers, then we want to make sure that that first generation is not left out, that those barriers are removed. So
Mhm.
we can make this profession the best that it possibly can be. So how do we do that? Maybe it's donating to scholarships. Maybe it's making sure that we're being mentors. Maybe it's publishing some resources that they can get access to. So you're looking to see what is it that the barriers are and how do we take those barriers away for everybody to enjoy the opportunity.
Yes. And when you think about being a champ or being a winner, you're gonna get some scars. I think again using Muhammad Ali, he got knocked down. Well, not knocked out, but he got some punches and bruises. And so when you get into that arena of life, to win and what you're gonna do, you're gonna get some scars, but let those scars be memories of I got the victory. I
Mm-hmm.
I'll even go back as early as when you're a child, riding a bike,
Yes.
I still got this mark on my knee right now. So I know how to ride that bike. So even when it comes to championship or being a winner, you're going to get some scars. Maybe it's you felt like you weren't worthy or whatever. How do you want to talk a little bit more about the scars that we get when we get the victory? We finally get the victory, but we had to go through the trenches, to get to that other side of victory.
So I can't think of many areas where anybody gets out without scars.
Mm-hmm.
Your finances will get hit. You'll have that setback. I've been, I've had shut off notices. I've had opportunities where I had to go, Grandma, I'm coming home. I mean, and it's all that, and you're going through it, and you feel like, oh, I just can't believe. What about when you're hooped and hooped out? So you don't have the transportation, and you relying on somebody. You calling, could you please take me to school? Could you please take me to pick up the kid from daycare? And you're going through it. You're going through it, and you're just like, Lord, I just don't know how I'm gonna get to tomorrow. I don't know how I'm gonna stretch this check. I don't know how I'm gonna pay all of these bills. And you pray.
Yes.
You ask for help.
Right.
And you do everything possible, but the thing of it is you don't give up. And that's the piece. When people are walking across the high school stage, the college stage at those commencement ceremonies, the doctoral, the JDs, and they're throwing up their hand because they're celebrating a victory.
Yes.
And when you hear, and it always tickles me, because we're a polite society, please hold your round of applause. I certainly will until you say my name.
No, that's right.
Because everybody is like hooping and hollering because they've witnessed what you've been through, and they know that it hasn't been a walk in the park. So it's those things, and the stressors can come from so many different places. The scars can come from so many different places. But to see, hey, I got the scar and I got the diploma too, or I got the scar and I learned how to ride a bike. Yes. That's the victory. That's the champion.
Right there. I know. I had mentioned on another podcast about in order to be a champion, you need grit. And I'm not thinking hard grit, and I just use an acronym for GRIT. G stands for be grateful for where you are right now. Just be thankful. Somebody didn't make it that far. The R stands for resilient. We can bounce back. We know how to get down and get back up, and the I stand for in. And then, of course, the T stands for grateful, resilient in turbulence time or, troubled times, and so, but it's not going to last forever, because you're going to get through that. And I just talked about how we got to have grit. We got to have determination. We got to be tenacious, and we're going to know we're going to get on the other side of that, of the winning, of the finish line. It may take a little while.
That's like the American story. And I don't care what race, ethnicity you come from, everybody loves that story. For somebody not to start with everything in their favor, but to go up against that adversity and persevere. One of my favorite books, The Memo, Minda Harts, she talks about how in the work environment that before we even had terms like microaggression, and before they became part of our normal conversation, microaggressions, she's experiencing that as a young woman. Somebody calling her out because her fingernail polish is a loud color, things like that. People making the supposedly compliment that is really cutting like a real deep insult. To do all of that, and then to say, you know what, corporate America, bye. I'm getting ready to write a book. I'm getting ready to live, the life and the career that I dreamed of. That's huge. And I follow her on Twitter, which is X now.
I know, right.
LinkedIn, and just engage with her, because it's like she's like one of my young heroes. I'm like, yes, I love this. I love this. And so when you talk about that resilience, I can take a punch, I can get knocked down by life, but I'm not going to get out and just sit out on the outside and say I'm not doing life. I mean, 2020, everybody took a punch. We took a punch like, whoa.
I know, a shutdown.
And then we shut down, and then you get the awakening of George Floyd, another whoa.
Oh, I know. Yes.
And
Yes.
then it's like, okay, are we going to get up? And
Mhm.
we're still in the stages of getting up from that as a nation
Yeah.
and determining, okay, how do we win? How
Mm.
do we win?
Yes.
So definitely, I can feel you on the grit.
Because we all want to be winners. And your
Yes.
definition of a winner is different from mine or champ, but in your own life, in your own personal space, in relationships, you want to have that, you know, I got victory. I've got victory,
Hmm.
because you want to know that life is much more than what we even think it is. But you got to
Yes.
put the work into it. You really do. It's not a piece of cake, right?
It is not a piece of cake. I like to like break down when I'm doing the vision boards and people are like, well, where do I start or how should I think about this? I said, there's some work by Dr. Glasser that says that each human has some basic needs. First is survival, love and belonging, power, freedom, and fun. So
Mm,
think about your life in those areas and what does success mean like in those areas for you? Because it may mean something different for me. My fun may look different than Dr. Mary's fun.
right.
And then how am I making sure that I'm living and creating that fun that I want in my life? And when I have that fun there, then I'm successful. When you have your fun there, you're successful. What does it look like for survival? And my basic needs are taken care of. I'm making my doctor's appointments, doing what I need to do. I'm exercising. I'm out in nature when
Yeah.
it's not as cloudy as it is right now.
I,
And you know, and
I,
I'm enjoying those things that give me vitality and breathe life into me. What's the love and belonging look like? And with love and belonging, there's going to be losses, there's going to be griefs. Some of your champions are not going to be able to even see the victories that they started rooting for you way back when.
yeah.
So, and you're going to go through sometimes where you're going to sit on the sidelines. You're going to have to grieve, you're going to have to mourn, but you're not going to live in the sidelines. You didn't get buried. So you're going to have to figure out, so what's the new life look like? And start putting those pieces together as well.
Yes. And you need, I also say, a support system too to help you. Like my husband always, he's my biggest cheerleader, and I'm his biggest cheerleader,
Yes, that's
You
what spouses are.
I know, right? Okay, that's right. I know. Get your pom poms out. All right, now.
Yes.
But you're right, and then family and friends. Sometimes friends are closer than your family. To cheer you on and support you and encourage you. So you got to get in that right mix.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that takes a minute to get there. Everybody can't be your friend or think that they're your friend.
And a lot of people get disappointed when families are not cheerleading.
Mm,
And what I believe is that oftentimes families are afraid
mm,
because they've never been there. They're not going where you go. So I don't know what it looks like to support you. And sometimes my not cheering you is
mm,
that I don't know, I don't want to set you up for disappointment or failure,
mm,
not realizing that my cheer may be the things that lift you up. So
mm.
you're absolutely right. Sometimes you have to go outside the family unit to find your cheerleaders to build that support group.
Right, right. Wow, I tell you. So how can people get that wonderful book?
It is on Amazon. It is definitely on Amazon. It's on a couple of other places too, but the blue truck is the one that I'm most familiar with.
I know. And everybody else too, as well.
Yeah, so it's definitely on Amazon. Um, I had the opportunity to share with Cooley Law students some of the work from the book, which was very, very cool. One of the things I find very fulfilling is talking to the next generation, especially the next generation of lawyers, and hoping, they have a very engaging experience,
Mhm.
an experience where they feel supported and they're not waiting to their third year of law school to see somebody who looks like them if they're people of color. So I definitely feel called to be part of that. I'm going to say part of that gospel, part of that ministry, even.
It is, right. I don't know if you ever, I think it was on Netflix. I'm trying to think of the movie that I was watching with all the lawyers was in it. Have you seen that one, Zenell? Now, of course, I can't remember the
Is
name
it
of
a movie or a series?
it. It's like a series, like a series.
Suits?
Suits. Yes, girl.
Yes.
Did you see that?
I've watched Suits. You know what? I did not watch it when it first came out. I ended up binge watching it. And I was like, oh, this was good. Now, I'll tell you, it has nothing to do with the law. That depiction is like totally off. Everybody would have been disbarred, but definitely the acting's good and the
Yeah,
characters are good.
yeah,
And the person who first owns the firm or the co-owner of the firm, African American woman,
yeah.
comes in. She's
Mhm.
in charge. She's owning that she's in charge. Everybody knows that she's in charge. You're like, wow,
I know.
refreshing,
She was.
refreshing.
It was so real. Okay, the cases probably was some of the cases could have been real though, right? Or it's just the way they.
Probably some of the cases could have been real, but probably how the procedures really unfolded. It probably been some
Yeah.
disbarments going on there.
I know, I know. That was I almost binge watched on that, but someone said you got to look at this, and I said that was powerful. Let's talk about your creative side. I know you like to paint and right, and you make cards and journals, and could you share a little bit about that right brain creativity side of you, Zenell, if you don't mind.
So prior to 2020, probably the last time I painted or drew was probably like 8th grade. But in 2020, 2021, because of family losses and things like that, I needed an outlet.
Yeah.
And so I went and bought some brushes. I got rid of the treadmill downstairs and turned that whole area into an art studio.
Awesome.
And I was like, I could probably spend $1 million at painting with a twist, but I probably could go downstairs in my basement and paint for a lot less. And so that's what I did. And it also became an outlet that I could share with families, come on down, let's paint,
Oh,
keep the kids active.
mhm.
And you get a box of canvases for $40 or whatever. So just doing that and to have that as a relief of after a long day of work, after dealing, work processing through the grief, to putting the paint there. And then I've saw online where somebody was like, take some of your paintings and share them and make them into wearable art. So I've done scarves with them. I've
Beautiful.
done
Beautiful.
birthday cards and greeting cards, and some of the prints themselves have even sold. So I just put them out, and people are like, if you do your own art show, I was like, but I don't want the business of it. I
Okay.
just want to paint. I'll
Yeah.
let the other people do the business aspects, and they'll put it out there. It's on La Galeriste and also Society 6. I
Mhm.
said they'll do that piece of it, and I can just tend to painting.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I think as entrepreneurs, people say, okay, I'm going to get out there like doing the training and consulting. I'm going to do the training and consulting. There's a whole business end that comes with that.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it
And
is.
I was like, I'll do the business end on that, but I don't want to do it on the art part.
Yeah.
So deciding how I want to do that.
Mhm.
And I'll still just pick up. I'm a doodler at heart. Although I hadn't done any art since like eighth or ninth grade,
Right.
my doodles, like in meetings, it was like, I hope nobody ever asks for my notes because they have doodles, flowers, people, faces, all of that, because that was a way of concentrating for me.
Okay.
And I've then did some research to find out that they've said that is a tool for concentration. I was like, "Woo, that's good to know."
I know, right? I was doing it for
Yeah, I was on the cutting edge. But I just needed that to sort of ground me and keep me present in the meetings. Otherwise, my
Mhm.
attention span would go.
Okay.
And then I would then volunteer to be secretaries of different organizations. And,
Uh,
people were like, why don't you take, minutes on the typewriter? And I was like, no, I like taking them by hand and then transcribing them later,
okay.
because that really keeps me engaged and involved. And then, like I said, then I can start doodling when that hits me as well. I can't doodle as well on a typewriter.
That's right. I'm like, no. No.
Exactly. So I believe everybody has some type of creative outlet.
Yeah.
And I think, as at least my generation, I think the later generations are better at tapping into it. But my generation, we basically were groomed like, you can't make a living doing that. So don't waste your time doing that. You better hit those books and do something that's going to, make sure there's food on the table.
Right.
But to go back and to pick that up, and then now I'm looking for a way to even further expand some of the fundamentals that I know that I don't have in
Mhm.
that area. So I'm looking to find a teacher to show me those things to do it even better.
Right. That's a gift that has been dormant, if you will, for a while. And
Hmm.
kind of resurrected that back up. And I always say that's that creative part, that that right brain.
Yes. And we
Yeah.
all have it. We all have a right brain and a left brain. Use them.
Right. Yes, right. I don't think a lot of people. I don't. I'm starting massaging my right brain and trying to get the writing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always been right-handed. I've learned how to write left hand pretty legibly loud.
Okay.
So you try to get out of that comfort zone, that box. You could do it
Yeah.
if you try it. So you mentioned about retirement. Are you excited about retirement, or it's just a recharge for something else now, right?
So when I retire April 28th of this year, 26 years in one day at Third Circuit Court, I was like, I don't know what it looks like. And I said yes to everything. Anybody who asked me something, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. And then so I did all these wonderful things.
Right.
And then I was really tired. So July and August have been like, okay, I'm sleeping off and resting up. And then now saying, okay, now where do I really want to focus the energy?
Yes.
I've done a lot of things. I've enjoyed doing all of those things, but you can't do everything. You have you have 24 hours. That's all you have in a day. I don't care how you stretch it, how you cut it. You got 24 hours. So now you've had a taste of this, that, and the other. Where do you really want to focus at?
Right.
My focus has always been in law. My
Okay.
focus has always been on courts since when did I start in the court? 1997, and the legal system even before that. So that's my focus area. In retirement, I am serving as the president of the Detroit Bar Association. I'm very enthusiastic about that. We're undergoing strategic planning, trying to figure out what it looks like for the future. You have some young, bright minds that are coming up. So definitely engaged in that. Had the opportunity to meet with bar leaders from the Wolverine Bar Association, the Straker Bar Associations, the Women Lawyers Association, and having this collective conversation about what does our profession look like? What do our court systems need to look like? How do we contribute to make this vision occur? So that's what retirement has looked like for me. Something that is energizing, something that we know that we're helping the next generation bring forward, helping them step into their leadership roles. It's exciting.
I know it is. I could just see your whole, I always had a beautiful countenance anyway, but now it just seemed like it's just brighter.
Yes.
Shining more brightly. So what did you do on your birthday yesterday?
So my birthday, everybody was working. That was different because usually, for my birthday, I'm at work. So this is my first birthday in I don't know how many years that I wasn't at work. So I'm like sort of waiting, and I've scheduled to go to an art school yesterday to talk about their program and see if there was a fit. So I had that on my agenda. I took myself to breakfast, and I was like, well, where do you want to go for breakfast? And there's a pancake house right around the corner that I often forget about. And so I've said I needed to go to the post office, and I'm driving by. I said, I'm going to the pancake house. So I had a breakfast there.
Yeah.
Went to the art school, and then I said, what's next? Everybody's at work. I said, it's nap time.
You love those retirement naps, girl. Yes.
Nap time. So I did a nap, and then I got up and I said, okay, now go down in the studio. And then I was in the art studio, and one of my previous administrative assistants, she called. And I'm talking to her, and she says, like, what are you doing? I said, I'm in the art studio. She says, well, are you going to dinner this evening? I was like, no, we'll do something with the family over the weekend. Everybody's working, yada. I said, well, she says, well, do you want to go to dinner? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know where. And then we have this favorite restaurant near the airport. And she's like, yes. So we got in the car and we drive to the airport. And then we called our other person who used to work in the office. Right. What are you doing? She says, I just finished cooking dinner. I was like, oh, we were going to say, she says, no, I haven't eaten. So she got in the car. So we all ended up at Leonardo's and talking about bread and pasta.
Oh my goodness.
It was wonderful.
Great birthday. A great birthday. Oh my God.
It was wonderful.
Yes. Yesterday was pre-birthday for me. So I
Yes.
got a manicure and a pedicure. My husband said I arranged to get a full body massage. I said, ooh, thank you,
Oh.
love. And that was so relaxing. So today is the day. And we'll probably go out to dinner and just celebrate. I mean, it's just a blessing to be alive because for the last couple of months, I've been going to so many homegoings, Zenell. So it's like, okay, I
Mhm.
celebrate life and not celebrate the life of. So yeah, that's great. And it looks like it's gonna rain a little bit, but it's sunshine on the inside, sunshine on.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Bring your sunshine with you. You will need it.
All right, right. It's been awesome, awesome, awesome. I mean, you are a champ in every way. I mean, when I first met you, we were also part of another organization, the G100.
Mhm.
And when I met you, it was
Yes.
uh, a kindred spirit that we just met. And I was like, I gotta get her on my show. I gotta get her on the podcast. Gotta get her.
Thank you.
Yes, so I'm so glad you finally said yes. And I know the audience enjoyed. I was trying to look at some of the comments that they said. These are great answers. One person said, need to run to a meeting, but I definitely want to watch the recording later. Great
Awesome.
perspective and conversation, just awesome. So I know your wisdom has really added value to support system is very important. Give me the title of the book again. So if someone just asks, give them the title of your book again.
The book is Coffee and Conversations, Inclusion and Belongings. And like it says, it's a 28-minute read. Take 28 minutes, throw it in your purse, throw it in your bag, read it, and then go about changing how you do your daily life. It's
Yeah.
about making sure that when we go out into the world, in every facet that we can think of, are we being inclusive? How
Mhm.
can we be more inclusive? If we say, yeah, I'm inclusive, well, how can you be more inclusive? What can you do today?
Mhm. And a smile goes a long way. It's just the opening up to be,
Yes.
I want you part of my inner circle, if you will, or whatever. Yeah. Someone else says, Zanelle, painting was my art therapy escape to keep my mind off the chemotherapy and radiation
Mhm.
treatment I went through. So it's a bless. Someone said, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And coffee and conversation. And she said, inclusion and what?
Inclusion and belonging.
And belonging. Okay, and belonging. Okay, so very good. Get that book, ladies and the audience. If you get that book, I promise you, you sometime do a self-reflection. Am I being inclusive? Am I being standoffish? Am I being, not withhold, I'm withholding, So, we always want to look at that other person. Nah, they didn't
That's
include
easy. Mhm.
it's easier, it's right.
That's easy because we all know what it feels not to be excluded. We know what it feels like to be not included, to be excluded for something.
Yeah.
And then it stretches you to say, not only you know that feeling, everybody knows that feeling. And you can actually help change that.
Yes.
That change can start right there with you. Like you
Mhm.
said, with a smile. Good
Yes.
morning.
Hmm. You'd be surprised. Yes.
I mean, we have what, National Kindness Day? You don't have to wait to National Kindness Day.
Nine every day, right?
Exactly. You don't have to wait till the holiday season and all of that. No, you can go about your way every day and figure out, how do I do this to be more inclusive?
Yes. Yes. I tell you. So, are there any closing comments or encouragement you want to leave to the other champions out there, the other winners out there that would encourage them to keep striving for greatness, striving for who you are authentically need to be, and be happy with it. No apologies needed.
No apologies needed. I told you I was going to bring a special coffee cup, and I don't think you can see it, so I'll read the
Okay.
various things on it. First of all, it says Girl Squad on the front.
Oh, I love it. I love
So
that.
everybody needs to have a squad. You
Mm.
need to have around you a group of people. The champion does not get in the ring without people who are sitting in the ring to make sure that he's fixed in between those battle scars. Somebody who's rooting from him. He has somebody who's managing him. So
Yeah.
everybody needs a squad.
I
So
love
you see the one person out front, but you know that there's a lot of people. You
it.
and I talked about assistants, virtual assistants, executive assistants. We can't do this by ourselves. So remember your squad.
Mm-hmm.
On the inside, it said, fight like a girl.
Oh. Do share, do share.
Fight like a girl. And there's some wonderful videos. If you Google that on YouTube, and
Mhm.
you will see some girls kicking butt. So you want to fight like a girl. And that means you don't stay down. If you fall down, you get back up.
Yes.
And then on the back, behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who have her back. And
Mm,
guess what? In front of her are the women whose back she has as well. So that's it. That's what I got.
that's powerful. That is so, and it's so practical, and it's so doable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not out of range that we as champions and winners, we can help one another. That's powerful. Zenell, you know I love you. I appreciate you for taking time out of your busy retirement schedule.
Anytime for you, Dr. Mary, anytime.
You know when you said that, it's nothing but another email coming. You know?
Not a problem.
I would love to see us having a girl squad on here, and maybe
Oh, that would be great.
be awesome. Okay, so my right brain's thinking. Go ahead, massage you there, and
Mm-hmm.
sometime soon. So I would love that, and maybe you could be the moderator, and we can talk, and we can share, and encourage and build up one another. Because I need you, and you need me. We're
I
not
need you.
to ourselves. Amen.
Amen.
All right, my love. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your day on my birthday.
I'm
Enjoy
celebrating a holiday.
holiday. So take care until next time. Be sure to tap into the wisdom that was shared today by none other than our very own Zenell Brown. You know, I love you and I appreciate you and thank God for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mary.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.